There is considerably less hope on this day here in Deerfield, Illinois, as Michael Jordan prepares to come in. He has arrived here already. Perhaps you can see the crush of folks awaiting Michael Jordan now. Phil Jackson, the coach of the world champion Chicago Bulls, here just a short time ago. Bruce, I want to come on, if we can, over here and give folks a feel of what this center is like. Again, this is where the Bulls train. This is where Michael Jordan spent a good bit of time on the court over the past several years. There's Johnny Red Kerr out there, the man who used to coach the Bulls and now calls those games on television. Everyone here really feeling a sense of the importance of this time. This was not altogether a shock for many of those who cover Michael Jordan, who live in Chicago. There were certainly hints, there were indications that perhaps this man would want to leave basketball before his skills began to wane. They are certainly at their peak right now, and I think that is certainly as much as anything what really brings attention to what goes on here now. There are on of about, I'd say, 30 cameras or so, all sorts of people assembled here because Michael Jordan's popularity has certainly transcended the sports world. When you say Michael, someone was pointing out that there is some question about whether you're referring to Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson. One of the Michaels here is hanging it up. Michael Jordan is expected to come on out from the bowels of this practice facility. Bruce, come on down. I want to just give folks a real quick, and if this gentleman will let me do one second and take a look. I just want to take a look at what this looks like. Can I just have a quick look at that, sir, for about 10 seconds worth? There you can see the assembled hordes who are here to bring this message, whatever it is, to the world. What will Michael Jordan say? What will be his reasons? There is considerable speculation that one of those reasons is certainly the death of his father. The tragic death of his father took place just a short time ago. Some people wondering whether or not Michael Jordan really had the desire to go on after that. Certainly an event like that, putting in perspective his life. Michael Jordan is now beginning. Bruce, spin around if you can. Michael Jordan now is entering. He is dressed as he often is, Natalie. He is being accompanied by his wife, if I can see her. Phil Jackson is here, the coach of the Chicago Bulls. Well, I say all of Michael Jordan's teammates, many of his teammates we saw earlier. Michael now setting up there at the makeshift press conference podium that has been set up here in this big arena to accommodate all of the folks that want to hear from Michael Jordan. Sitting down now and preparing to tell the world why he is retiring after just 9 seasons. Let's leave that to Michael. We can sneak a peek in there. We'll see. Folks are still obviously getting into position. His attorney there with him, Phil Jackson, also there. I also see, it appears, Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Chicago Bulls, the man who owns the Chicago White Sox, who had that parade a little bit rained on last night. I see Scottie Pippen also, John Paxson. Scottie Pippen, perhaps a man who will be looked upon to, well, let's go. Let's listen now.
Curtis Colton, David Falk, Jerry Krause, Phil Jackson, Jerry Reinsdorf, I'm not sure who it is, Juanita, and David Stern. Reinsdorf.
Good morning. I know it was a late night for many of you. I'm sorry to get you here this early. I just have a few words to say, and then we'll hear from Michael. This is a very bittersweet day. There's a certain sadness because the greatest athlete to ever play a team sport is leaving the game. But it's really, for me, a very, very happy day because somebody who I admire and respect is doing exactly what he wants to do. And I'm absolutely convinced that he's doing the right thing. About a year ago, when we were getting ready to begin training camp for the last season, Michael spoke to me about losing a little of the zest for the game and wondering about how long he would play. Of course, he did play, and we won another championship. Several weeks ago, at the Jordan Foundation dinner, Michael again brought the subject up and said that he was considering not playing. I asked him at the time not to make a hasty decision, to be sure that he thought everything through, and that when he came to that decision, it would be one that he could live with and one he was absolutely certain of. We agreed at that time to get together in a couple of weeks. We did last Sunday, October the 3rd, Michael and Curtis and David Falk and I met in Washington at David's home. Michael reaffirmed his decision. I made absolutely no attempt to talk him out of it because I was convinced it was the right thing for him to do. I only asked him to do one thing, and that was not to make the decision final until he spoke to Phil Jackson and to Jerry Krause, which he did, I guess it was yesterday morning. And after meeting with Phil for an hour and with Jerry, Michael again was convinced he did the right thing. I think all of us who know Michael are convinced that he is doing the right thing. He's living the American dream. The American dream is to reach a point in your life where you don't have to do anything you want to do, you don't want to do, and everything that you do want to do. So we respect the decision. We're sorry to leave him, to see Michael leave, but it's really been an honor and a pleasure for me and for the people of Chicago to have had Michael here for 9 years. I can only imagine what it was like seeing Babe Ruth, because I think this man, I used to say, was the Babe Ruth of basketball. I've now come to believe that Babe Ruth was the Michael Jordan of baseball. Michael?
Thanks, Jerry. I think everyone knows exactly what the circumstances are right now in terms of my decision not to play a game of basketball in the NBA. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play basketball somewhere else, but I've talked to all my confidants, my family, my friends, as Jerry has just informed you, to the organization. I even talked to David Stern as of yesterday and even today, and I'm very solid with my decision of not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Reasoning being, I've heard a lot of different speculations about my reasons for not playing, but I've always stressed to people that have known me and the media that has followed me that when I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. It's not because I don't love the game. I love the game of basketball, I always will. I just feel that at this particular time in my career, I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've achieved a lot in that short amount of time, if you want to call it short. But I just feel that I don't have anything else for myself to prove. And I met with my teammates, some of my teammates this morning, and it was very, very emotional because they meant a lot to me, and we have shared a lot of time together over the last 9 years. Paxton being the guy that I've been with for the last 8 years, and other guys I've spent a lot of time for the last 5 years, and we've achieved a lot. We've gone through a lot of stages, and my success has been as much as their success. They've been a part of that. My family's been a part of that. My wife, my father, who, as everyone knows, has left us. And I guess the biggest gratification, I'm a very optimistic person. I guess the biggest positive thing that I can take out of my father not being here with me today is that he saw my last basketball game, and that means a lot. It was something that I have talked, and my family has talked for a long period of time. He advised me, quite frankly, to retire after my first championship, but we had many discussions, and my discussions was that I still had a lot to prove as a player, and I wanted to win more. At the end of the year, after we won our third championship, we talked once again, and I was kind of leaning towards that direction. And he knew that, and my family knew that, and it was just a matter of waiting until this time when basketball was near to see if my heart would change. And I went through all the different stages of getting myself prepared for the next year. And the desire was not there. And it wasn't like everyone had speculated about all the different media pressure and different pressures that I was feeling. I deal with pressure all the time, and I've always said that I would never let you guys run me out the game. So don't think that you've done that. This is my choice, and I've always wanted to make it my choice. And it's a choice that I chose to live with. And certainly it goes without some reservations a little bit, because I'm gonna miss the game. I'm gonna miss the opportunities of, winning extra championships and spending more time with teammates for 8 months and going on trips or whatever, and some of the things that men do in basketball. I'm gonna miss it. The psychological warfare that Phil put us all through in 8 months, I'm gonna miss that. But at some point in time, you have to look at the future. I think one thing about my father's death is that it can be gone and be taken away from you at any time. And there's still a lot of things out there for me to achieve. There's a lot of family members and friends that I haven't seen because I've been very selfish in my career to try to get to this point and make sure that I achieve all the dreams that I want to achieve. Now that I'm here, it's time to be a little bit unselfish in terms of spending more time with my family and my wife, my kids, and just get back to a normal life, as close to it as I could. It's going to be tough, but I'm very happy with my decision, and I'm very glad that I'm in a position to make that choice. A lot of times you guys do all the pushing, and now I'm taking the lead, and I'm doing all the necessary steps to walk away from the game when I feel I need to. But I'm glad for the fans and for the organization, for the support that they have given me and my family, and for the league. I think the league has gone from somewhere that a lot of people had little doubts about the personalities and probably the image, to where it's probably the highest rated and most watched professional sport that there is. And I think that means a lot to all the guys who played in that era, especially myself. So thank you, and hopefully I don't see too many of you guys in the future. And now you can go somewhere else and get your stories. And this is probably the first time I've met this many people without a scandal around. So it's really a great feeling to hear all the thank yous, and certainly the support of these people here from my corporations and Nike, Gatorade, all the people that I deal with. They've been very supportive of my decision, and I think that means a lot as a person and as an endorsee of that product. So thanks, and I'm willing to answer some of the off-the-wall questions that you guys are going to give me. Certainly. I would have made it even if he would have been here. It was a decision that I was contemplating about when the season ended. So naturally, when my father died, it put a little bit different emphasis on life in general, but it didn't alter my decision no differently than what I had already, basically leaned toward. Yeah, I'm in the pickup games now. I'm here. I'm gonna play for my kids and my family, and pickup games when I feel the desire. And I'm still an avid basketball fan. I'm still an avid Chicago Bulls fan, and I will come to some of the practices. They haven't banned me from the practices like they banned you guys, and I'm still looking forward to watching this team be successful. A lot of people doubt this team because of my retirement. I don't. I just think that when a father sends his kids out to college, that kid has to stand up on his own 2 feet. And I'm not saying I was a father of this group, but I took a lot of the pressures and some of the heat. But I know this team is prepared to step up and take what they want. And I told Scotty, I told BJ, I told John, I told all the guys, you still have the faith, you have the ability to achieve what you want to achieve. You just got to believe in it. And you got to go through all the determination processes that you go through every day to step on that basketball court and prove or feel you have something to prove. And that was one of the reasons that I stepped away from the game, because when I stepped on the basketball court, there wasn't anything else for me to prove. That's one of the reasons you guys have gone into my private life, because you can't blame my basketball. Will I ever unretire? I don't know. I think the word retire means you can do anything you want from this day on. So if I desire to come back and play again, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road. I'm not going to close that door. I don't believe in never, and I won't ever believe in it to this point.
Get on somebody besides Gene Griffith.
Excuse me? Yeah, my home is here. My wife is from Chicago. I can't take her anywhere outside of Chicago. Her family's here, and my kids has only known Chicago, and I've built some great roots here, and I like to remain here. And you know, as long as you guys stay away from my house, I can have peace and quiet. Do I say that again now? I don't think I ever would have a normal life, but I think it could be reduced some because there's going to be other stars, there's going to be other focuses in the game of basketball and in the game of sports. I realize it, but if it can lessen just a little bit, it's better than what it is now. So I think it will over a period of time. You know, I don't have any reservations about stepping away from the spotlight. The spotlight's been very, very good to me. Hopefully I've been good to it. It's been very something that many people don't encounter, you know, and I've encountered it, and certainly I've enjoyed it, but at some point in time, you just got to change ships. And I was watching George Brett when he was talking about his retirement, and he had one interesting scenario, and he said that if you ride a roller coaster for 9 years, don't you want to ride something else? And that's where I feel right now. I've been on this roller coaster for 9 years. It's just time for me to ride something else. Golf is my relaxation, you know, and I haven't looked at it as a professional interest right now. My family is the professional interest that I look at right now, and golf is going to be very competitive to me. I think that's going to sap up a lot of that competitive attitude that I had for the game of basketball. Excuse me? Toughest decision was leaving the team.
Looks like we've lost the audio portion of the signal that we've gotten from the... oh, actually, we have it back now. Let's go back to the press conference with Michael Jordan. Now it appears as though we still are having some sort of an audio problem there. But CNN Sports, Jim Huber is here with us now. Jim, your impressions?
Kind of an appropriate ending, isn't it? That the lights and the sound would go out as Michael Jordan leaves us. You know, back in 1979 when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird first came in to the NBA and saved a very struggling league, then Michael Jordan came along and the three of them took the NBA to audacious heights. It was a grand decade. But 2 years ago, Magic Johnson left us at the beginning of a season, and then a year ago, it was Larry Bird's turn to retire, and now this is becoming a very nasty habit on the edge of the 1993-94 season. There goes Michael Jordan. This is the legacy that Jordan leaves us now with, and like he says, there is nothing more for him to do in basketball. The numbers are astounding, but superseding them all is just the number 3, of course. The 3 straight NBA championships he led the Chicago Bulls to. CNN's Vince Cellini puts pictures and words to those numbers now. Or he will in a moment, and so Michael Jordan, number 23 in your program. But number 1 in many historians' books chooses to hang up his Nikes. One wonders in that instance the situation with his endorsements. And we go back to Deerfield and the Bulls complex and hear more from the retiring superstar.
Well, just to explain what happened here just momentarily, just moments ago, the entire room there, the press conference, lost the audio portion of what Michael was saying here. So it wasn't just us; it was everyone in the room there. Let's see if we can get Michael to begin again.
You are right, Nick. Coming out.
No, it's not working. They had a lot of feedback when they first started as well. Let's just chat while we listen in the background to see when he gets back. You know, interesting that Michael Jordan said that he would not close the door to playing again, though, Jim.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was listening for Michael. I apologize.
Yeah, that he was saying that he would not close the door to possibly playing again.
You sort of indicated that you thought maybe he might take a year off and rejuvenate himself maybe and come back. That's a very good possibility. It would certainly add another chapter to what has already been a remarkable book. But I think that perhaps we've seen the end of this young man in the public eye, at least on a basketball court. I think maybe we might see him on a golf course or two along the way, but as far as basketball is concerned, I don't know. I don't think so.
What do you know about how this story actually unfolded? I understand that there were some leaks last night about this.
Yeah, he threw out the first pitch, all smiles at the White Sox-Toronto playoff game at Comiskey Park there in Chicago, a reigning hero amongst baseball players. And baseball, of course, was a love of his as well. I think he probably could have chosen to play just about any sport he wanted, but he chose basketball, to our good fortune. And then he retired to some of the private booths at Comiskey Park, and the rumor began to spread that he was going to call this press conference for this morning to retire. And they quickly hustled him under vast security out of Comiskey Park and away. And this is the first time we've seen him since. We don't know how the rumor leaked. Let's see if we can hear him again.
Well, I think the news, this is, has been so shocking to all. There we go. It looks like the fuse box has been shocked back into action here.
Well, I mean, everyone wants to be remembered for the good things, first of all. I just want to be remembered as a guy who enjoyed the game, played it 110%. Always had something to prove, and when that challenge was in front of him, he stepped forward and proved it. Loved the game, totally enjoyed it. Would play the game even if he didn't get paid $1. That's how much I love the game. But in these days of economical means, it doesn't happen as often. But I just want to be remembered as a guy who enjoyed the game and certainly played it at 110% every time he stepped on the court. Toughest decision as I was beginning was my teammates. You know, I really loved them a lot. I told them it was a lot of times where, you know, different personalities had to clash off the court or even in the locker room. But when we stepped on that basketball court, everybody loved everybody. Everybody had the same focus and the same goals in mind. And that's something that's going to be missed a lot. But, you know, I had to do it for my own sake, but I knew that I had enough memories to remember those times and those feelings. And that was very tough to talk to Phil and talk to the organization and tell them it was time for me to move on. I slept good. I had a great roommate. I felt real good. It was tough, you know, because this was a tough decision to make, and it was a tough announcement for me. But there's many nights I don't get much sleep, and I go out and play games, and I mean, when I'm nervous, I say what's on my mind, and I guess this is a great time to do it. No, because, Melissa, I've always told you, as well as everyone who's watched me, that I never wanted to leave the game when my skills started to diminish. Because once that starts to happen, I feel the foot in my back. You know, people pushing me out of the game, saying that I don't have the skills that I used to have. I think one thing that I like to remember about my game is that I tried to maintain high consistency levels every year. And I felt when the consistency started to diminish, the foot started pushing. And I didn't want to get to that situation. I wanted to, when I get to a pinnacle and I feel that my skills are still good, I'm not starting on the downside of my career, I want to walk away from the game. And it's been very fortunate that I'm on top. And I'm coming off 3 championship seasons. Coming off a great situation with my team, where the team believes in themselves, and a lot of them have stepped up and gained their identities and their own expectations for themselves. This is the perfect time for me to walk away. Can I remember any of? It will, always will. That's just the way life is. You're always going to have a better man out there somewhere. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, 20 years down the road. There's always a better man somewhere. And that is not one of my fears, because as long as I was playing the game, I believed in myself as a basketball player, and certainly as a person. And hopefully when that person comes along and maybe have the impact as a Magic Johnson, Dr. J, myself, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, you know, he feels the same way. But it will be another player in that nature. I would never do you guys' job because you don't have sympathy for normal people sometimes. And I think I like to give myself a little bit more credit to have sympathy for other people. No, I think a lot of people, a lot of times over the last few years have tried to make me the ambassador of the league. And I've never accepted that role. I think it's a lot of players who must carry that label of the NBA. So that if something like this happens, when a player reaches a point in his career he wants to step away, there's enough entertainment, enough people who are in the spotlight to carry that label. And that's what I think, that's where I think NBA basketball is now. You got a lot of superstars in this league, and with myself stepping away, there's other players to carry that label. Dr. J did it for many years for himself. He carried that label for a long period of time. I don't think it's ever going to be a person who want to accept that responsibility for themselves, by themselves. I never wanted to do it. I don't think Larry, I don't think Magic, any one of them wanted to do it, and I don't think they did. So I think basketball is here to stay, and I think you got other rising stars who can carry that label, and I think it will be successful continuously. Hey.
He got even with you.
I guess he's even now. Yeah, I heard you last night. You took it the wrong way. I don't appreciate what you said. My whole initiative was to do it today, and it leaked out yesterday. And the reason that I did it here today is training camp starts Thursday. I wanted to get it over and done with before training camp starts because I feel the team has to start on their own 2 feet, and they should start on the first day of training camp. That was my initiative for doing it today. It wasn't to overshadow the White Sox. If it was, I wouldn't have went to the game. You know, I went to the game to support, and I'm here to support the White Sox. I'm not here to overshadow anyone. I'm here to say goodbye to the game at this particular time so the lives of my teammates and of the franchise and of the Chicago Bulls move forward starting Thursday when training camp opens. That was my initiative. I can't hear all you guys. I should have expected that question from you. I expected it because I am in touch with my feelings about the game, about my skills to the game. I've always been in tune to what's right for me as a player and as a person in these circumstances. And that's what I went with. I went with my feel, not with the circumstances surrounding that. If I didn't have the desire to step on the basketball court and have something to prove, then I must admit that. I can't step out there and know that I'm out there for no reason. It's not worth it for me, and I don't think it's worth it for my teammate. When I step on the basketball court, I'm out there for a reason to prove something and to help my teammates achieve. If I step out there for any other reason, you know, it's not me, and I didn't want to go through that scenario.
Will you join some games this year, and most likely which ones?
I will attend some games. I won't tell you which ones because I like to surprise the team and certainly eliminate you guys bringing more pressure to that particular game. But I am a fan, and I still want to go to some of the games. I will talk to some of the players. I won't give any coaching. That's Phil's job. But if I can be a friendship to any of the players and help them through some trying times with the media, I'm willing to pass my advice to them, and that's not to talk to you. Excuse me? No, I've always respected the media. I will continue to respect some of you. You guys have a job just like I have a job, and I've always respected that. And sometimes you've gotten on my nerves, and sometimes I've omitted it, and sometimes I have admitted it. So I've always tried to keep a good, clean relationship with you guys, and I don't think I have any bitterness towards you guys as I walk away from the game. I'm not a hatred type of person. I don't carry no grudges or, you know, when I'm walking away with a clean slate. And I wish you guys well in your careers as reporters, as well as, you know, my teammates in their success. My contract situation, you know, a lot of people had a speculation that I'm leaving because I'm not getting paid these astronomical dollars that some of the other players are getting paid. You know, I signed my contract when I signed it. You guys have known that for years, that, you know, when I put my name on that dotted line, I'm not going to go back and cry about what I'm getting paid. I've always put it in a situation, as you guys probably deal with in your own profession, if you deserve a raise, you would get a raise. I will not ask for any compensation because I'm walking away from the game. I didn't walk away from the game because Larry Johnson got $84 million for 12 years. That's great for Larry Johnson. He had the leverage, he should do so. If anybody else come in the league and they got the leverage, they should utilize it, because your length of prospering in your abilities in playing in the game is very limited. So you should take advantage of it. I'm very happy with my financial situation, and I will not sit here and twist Mr. Reinsdorf's arm or whatever and ask him for a compensation as I walk away from the game. He's been very straightforward with me, as much as I've been straightforward with him. My contracts have been extended to 10 years, playing basketball and not playing basketball. And that's something that's part of the relationship that we have had with my endorsees. So I expect that to continue, and with the people, with my endorsees being here, I think that shows the support that they have had for my decision, and I don't think it's going to tarnish my relationship at all with them. The first title is probably the biggest thrill that I've had, because coming into the city of Chicago, it wasn't a bright situation, and we were not on top. We were not even in the middle. But I've seen every stage to get to the top, and the city's probably been waiting for a long period of time, because all they had to say was wait until next year. And it gives me great gratification that during the time that I played the game of basketball here in the city of Chicago, they don't have to say that anymore. You know, they got bragging rights all over the country. For many years, it's been known as a gangster town. Now it can be known as a championship town. And hopefully the White Sox can carry that on, as well as other sports. But that's the fondest memories that I can have about the city of Chicago and its sports programs.
I would say it's a pretty good bet that nobody will wear number 23 on the Chicago Bulls again.
That wasn't a bet. He doesn't bet.
Jordan, do you feel a sense of relief finally with this decision from the South?
I support Michael's decision.
Mike, do you consider possibly closing this Magic tonight All-Star team is taken?
No. Magic's got a whole different agenda than I do. He still wants to play competitively. I don't. I want to play leisurely, and I want to do it with smaller companies and smaller people than he's doing right now. And I don't non-support Magic Johnson. I support him. I'm not saying that's what I want to do. I want to do other things than to play basketball as an exhibition situation. I don't want to do that. Did I? No. Nowhere. My heart has been here. I can't even think about playing for another team. That's not even a train of thought. No. My Olympic days are over and done with. It was great. I think every athlete who never really had that opportunity to represent their countries should do that. You know, either NBA or college, doesn't make a difference. It's the greatest feeling that you can ever go through. Anybody try to talk me out of it? A lot of people have. And I needed that, that side of the coin to make a good picture of what my decision was going to be. But once I made a decision, everyone supported it because they understood from my point of view. out of 100%, I would say 95% supported me. Another 5%, wanted to see me play. And it wasn't of selfishness. They just felt I had a gift that would be kind of missed. And that's the highest compliment that I can take in that circumstance. But I had to make a decision for myself in that circumstance and for what I want to achieve and what I had already achieved. No, Charles changes his number every week. And I did see him last night on television, and we've always talked about retiring at the same time. But I think it's a little different scenario between Charles and myself, being that I've achieved a lot in a lot of my goals, and I think he still has things that he wants to achieve. Sadly, that I couldn't hang around till he do those things because I was standing in his way. Now that I'm out the game, I hope he does, as well as Patrick, because he's a good friend, and other players. But I wish that we could have left the game at the same time, but it just wasn't the same focus and the same goals left for both of us. I'm going for the Bulls all the way. I mean, Charles, I love him as a friend, but I love the Chicago Bulls as a family because that's where I was bred and that's where we achieved a lot, and I live in Chicago. So I want the Chicago Bulls to continue on. Excuse me? Well, I was pretty much decided at that particular time, but I think what he made me realize was how short life is. And that was an era that I had to look at, how quickly something could end so quickly and so innocently. Naturally, I was saddened by it, and it took me a while to deal with it. But I'm an optimistic person. I took something positively from it. And, yeah, he had some decision in making me realize how valuable life is, and that, in turn, made me make my decision even simpler. But I was leaning and very much in that direction way before he passed. Excuse me? No. If so, I'd still be playing. I looked at basketball. I even talked to Phil. And I asked Phil, quite frankly, is it anything for me to prove as a basketball player? And he thought for a second, and that's all I needed. Because if it was, he would have told me real quickly. And that's the way I left it, basically. It wasn't anything for me to prove as a player.
We're still planning to open the season on November 5th. and we're sure it's going to be a great season.
We're going to take about 5 more minutes of questions from Michael. The other participants on the dais will be available, so if you want to get 5 more with Michael.
Your impressions of leaving the game with the team. Not many professional athletes have ever done.
That's how I wanted to be remembered, is that, I conquered a lot. What was very, very intriguing and very important was that when I got to the pinnacle of my career, I achieved practically everything I could from an individual standpoint and from a team standpoint. And it really made it easy to walk away while you was on top. And yeah, very few people do that. I was just happy that I was in a predicament to do that.
Was Jim Brown at all involved on that? He voted for you or different?
Well, you're talking to a guy who was maybe 6 or 5 years old when Jim Brown decided that. I've heard Jim Brown was one of those athletes who did that, but that didn't have anything to do with my decision, and that's not a knock on Jim Brown. That's, I had to deal with what I'm faced with and deal with it what's in a way that I feel best suits me.
Michael, do you envision you might wind up missing the cheers, the accolades? I mean, a lot of athletes sometimes, and you've had so many of them over the years, do you envision you might miss that?
No, I think It's been real good, and I've always been very fond of the respect that I've received from the home fans as well as some of the away fans. But I'd say when I walk away from the game, I won't miss the cheers because it was there. It was there. I can remember those things, but I don't need it to live. I don't need it to survive. And that's very important for me. Will I ever buy ownership interest? No. I don't think so. I think...
Don't say never.
I won't say never. That's not in my plans as of right now. I don't know if I got the desire to do that. I see Jerry, he's living a hard life. I don't know if I can go through that. He's got to make some tough decisions, and that's tough. Well, I knew that would happen someday. It doesn't matter when, but I knew it was going to happen. When I walk away from the game, a lot of people, especially the kids, will be disappointed. But if parents are watching this and certainly could touch their kids, as you probably can touch your neighbors or your kids, is to let them know that basketball is great to play it. It's an enjoyment, it's a fun, it's a hobby. But there's a lot to life other than sports and to football or basketball or whatever. And yet my life goes on. I'm still in love with the game. But at some point in time, everyone has to make a decision to move forward away from games. Either be it your choice or someone else's choice. And I've just been fortunate that I can make that choice now, instead of one of you guys pushing me out and saying I'm old and it's time for me to move on. So I know that kids are going to be disappointed, but hopefully they learn that Michael Jordan was once a basketball player, but now he's a human being, he's a man, he must continue on, he has a family, he got other things he must achieve.
Michael, besides golf and your family, what will you do?
In retirement, you do whatever comes to your first thought. It's relax. Enjoy the time that you've been deprived of for many years. I still have opportunities to get with my companies and do some certain endorsements and certain business opportunities within them, and that's what I would do whenever I feel that time hits me. But up until that point, I'm going to watch the grass grow, and I got to go cut it.
Are you capable of relaxing?
Yeah, I'm capable of relaxing. I've been relaxed for the last couple of months. So I am capable of just hiding from you guys and doing what I want. I hope to. If I get a pot belly, then I start exercising. No. It's good for everybody to go through training camp, and it was fun going through Phil's. And yeah, I will miss it a little bit, but I won't miss it. The league is strong. I think David Stern has done a good job in making it strong enough that if this day came and everyone knew it was going to come, that it was strong enough to survive. This league will survive. It's got enough stars to take the places of the stars who just left the game. It's in different forms and different fashions, but it's there. And the game is still as entertaining as it was. It may be in different fashion and maybe not with the familiar faces, but the game goes on. It always will, and it always will be just as exciting, I think. And I think it's been preparing for this moment, and it's just going to move forward. Excuse me? Would I miss the sport? I'm pretty sure I missed the sport. To come back, that's a different thought. I can't answer that. I'm not making this a never issue. I'm saying right now I don't have the mental drive to come out and push myself to play for a certain focus. 5 years down the line, if that urge comes back, if the Bulls have me, if David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back. But that's an option that I would never close on. I like to have that option, and that's something that I'm willing to deal with and take the chances with. Walking away from you guys in a few minutes. That would be a good step.
Time for two more questions.
Started thinking about something that you
Well, I mean, as I got later in my years and as I got more successful with the team and I achieved so much as an individual, I had lesser to prove. I started gearing towards that decision of when would be the correct time to walk away. And now is the correct time. I really feel that. I felt it in college after 3 years, and I feel it now after 9 years. I won't have any regrets. I won't look back. I will move forward, and certainly I think I will succeed wherever I move.
Michael, has this been an emotional time for you as you consider this decision?
Yeah and no. My mind's been made up. The emotional thing has been listen to guys try to give me an opposite side of the coin because they showed emotion, and that in turn made me feel really good and made me show emotions. But when I thought about it deep down, as I've thought about it for a long period of time, I was doing what was right. And that's all they ever wanted was what was right for me. Do I need a job? No. I never had a job. I don't want one now.